Every year, my family embarks on an epic vacation, staying at my aunt and uncle's oceanfront house in West Palm Beach. Their son, Will, is my age, and we've always been close. It's not just my immediate family. My other aunt and uncle join us with their kids. Their daughter, Teresa, is my best friend. We went through high school together, and since we're the same age, share a last name, and somewhat resemble each other. Everyone thought we were twins. We loved these family vacations, especially telling strangers we were twins. As we got older, Teresa, Will, and I would party like rock stars. We'd spend the day on the beach with family, but at night, Will, being a local, would take us to all the hot bars and clubs. On one specific family vacation a few years ago, the three of us witnessed something bizarre, something that still bothers and frightens me to this day. Teresa and Will aren't as freaked out. They think it was just a prank or a weird occurrence. I'm not so sure. The trip started like any other West Palm family vacation. We were living it up. Occasionally, on these trips, Will would accidentally drink a bit too much. Maybe not accidentally, the boy loved his drinks. Teresa and I knew exactly when he hit his limit, and that was usually our cue to call it a night and find a ride home. I was always the responsible one, drinking only to a certain point, then spending the rest of the night ensuring Teresa, and especially Will, didn't end up in a ditch somewhere. On this particular night, Will became quite rowdy in one of the bars. He kept claiming that as a local, he could say whatever he wanted, which isn't true. He angered many people and was eventually physically thrown out by the bouncer. He mumbled a bit but seemed fine, not having hit his head. I think his self-esteem was more bruised than anything. I told Teresa to watch him while I tried to find an Uber or another ride. He kept calling me a buzzkill, which confirmed it was time to go. I secured a ride that would arrive shortly. While waiting, I called my boyfriend, telling him about our night. He laughed and told me to call him when I got back to the house. Just as I hung up, Teresa ran over, freaking out. She said she hadn't been paying attention to Will while on her phone, and he had wandered off. The boy was in no condition to wander anywhere. I tried calling him, but his phone went straight to voicemail. Typical for Will. After a few minutes of running around the streets yelling his name, Teresa shouted that she saw him. Thankfully, it was Will. He was walking in a very crooked line, heading towards what I'd call a swamp or forest in Florida, a heavily wooded area with a lot of mud and dirt. I'll call it a swamp for the story, as it feels more Floridian. Anyway, Teresa grabbed him before he entered the swamp and started giving him a verbal lashing. Will was laughing and acting like a toddler. As soon as Teresa let go, he sprinted into the swamp. I don't know if it was adrenaline or rage, but without thinking, we sprinted after him. It only took a short while to catch up. He was so intoxicated he wasn't moving fast. Using a phone flashlight, we saw how dirty and gross the area was, our feet completely covered in mud. As we started to emerge from the thick brush, Will, of all people, told us to shush. We both glared at him, ready to smash him in the face. Before we could speak, he shushed us again. He ducked down, looking genuinely scared. This was a completely different Will than 10 seconds ago. It didn't take us long to realize why. We heard shouting and screaming from somewhere in the swamp. It wasn't normal screaming. To me, it sounded like screams I'd never heard before, and haven't heard since. The three of us stayed quiet, frozen as the screams echoed all around us. We couldn't pinpoint the exact source, but whoever was screaming sounded like they were in serious trouble. Then, as abruptly as they started, the screams stopped. We didn't move. We stayed put in that muddy swamp for at least another 15 minutes. Then, we sprinted out as fast as we could and made our way back to one of the bar-lined streets. We got a ride home and sobered up quickly, trying to figure out what we heard, seeking a rational explanation. Nothing we came up with was good. Teresa suggested checking out the swamp in the morning. During the day, she said, we could safely navigate the area and see if there was anything to worry about. I knew I couldn't navigate back to our exact spot, but Teresa is like a professional hiker. She proved it by getting us to the precise place we were hiding the night before, our indents still visible in the dirt. We talked about where we thought the screams came from, even though the echoes made it hard to pinpoint. Surprisingly, we all agreed on the same general direction. Teresa led the way through the thick brush. This wasn't a normal path. We were basically wading through bushes and mud puddles. A few minutes later, Teresa gasped. On one of the tree branches hung the sleeve of a denim jacket. Just the sleeve. On the ground below were many footprints in the mud, as if a struggle had occurred. I was ready to leave, but Teresa pushed forward a little further. Not far from the sleeve was a small opening surrounded by trees. On the ground lay the rest of the denim jacket. Surrounding the jacket were more footprints, all bunched up in one spot, again suggesting a struggle. Leading away from the jacket was a single set of footprints, heading into more thick brush where tracking them became impossible. I was done. I told Teresa and Will I didn't feel safe and wanted to go back to the house. They weren't as freaked out as me, but they were uneasy. We returned to the house, and I don't know why I let them talk me into this, but we agreed to just let it go. I was sure we had witnessed a potential crime, but Will and Teresa didn't fully agree. They said it was possible, but more likely a joke, or even more likely, a coincidence that we found the jacket and just happened to hear screaming the night before. Will also convinced us that if we involved law enforcement, we'd be the only ones linked to the crime, if there even was one. That scared us, even though we had nothing to hide. He argued that the police might not believe 3 young adults were just in the middle of a random swampy area, witnessing a potential crime. Would they truly believe our drunk cousin just wandered into the swamp? If I could do it over, I would have called the police immediately after hearing the screams. At the time, I thought Will made good points, and it seemed best to move on and forget it. It's been several years now, and I still think about that scream. I've always wondered if I truly witnessed a crime or just some intense domestic issue. I'm happy to get this story off my chest. It's been therapeutic to share. I hope nobody ever has to hear those kinds of screams in their lifetime, because you'll never forget them. In moments of fear, uncertainty, or danger, reciting Ayatul Kursi acts as a powerful shield. It reminds us that Allah is the ultimate protector over all things. Recite it after every prayer, before sleeping, and when leaving home. No harm can touch you when Allah's protection surrounds you.